Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And before I get on to our first major announcement that we've touched on a couple of times already, but I'm really proud to be sharing it with you, I want to say a few thank yous. I have to absolutely say thank you to our team, and in particular, Robin Walters, our conference manager, Aidan Rode, our assistant manager, who many of you will have been interacting with in the sessions. Our hosts, we have Sarah Cohen, John Hinton, Maeve McGovern, and Natalie Graham. Did I get everyone there? Yes, Sarah Cohen. And also to Madalena Bendershi, who worked on the event guide. If you haven't downloaded that yet, please do. It's on the schedule page, I believe. There's a button there, and it gives you an overview of the conference. The Creativity Conference is absolutely a team effort. And of course, a major part of the conference is the speakers. So I just want to give a big thank you to all of the speakers who are contributing to the conference. And I don't think I've ever mentioned that all of the speakers are joining us completely for free. Everybody is contributing their time and their energy and their effort preparing for this conference just because they want to share. They're sharing their insights, perspectives, experience, understanding. And it's a privilege to be able to provide a forum for that. So many thanks to all of our speakers who are contributing. One of the things I want to announce that I'm most excited about, as you can guess from the backgrounds that we've got all throughout the conference here, is that we've just managed to get the button live for people to buy tickets for our August 2022 conference. And before I tell you all about that, I'll just show you this wonderful video that we've produced. And this introduces what we're going to be doing. Let me share my screen with you again here, and you'll see what I mean. I absolutely love that. Footage from Ragnar, my friend Ragnar, who's a visual photographer for the Icelandic Tourist Board. Our very own Aidan Rode edited, and Nick Harrell's working on the post on that, me pretending to direct it. And you just basically got everything there. We are planning, and we're already booked in at Reykjavik University for our August 2022 conference. It's the 1st to the 3rd of August. We're still hazy on the details, but we're looking at maybe 105 presentations from over 35 speakers. We may end up with 70, as we did this time around. We're looking at building interior garden spaces that you can meet people in. We're trying to see if we can get a Japanese foot spa for everybody during the conference. We have a music night. We have the Ice Museum, which has the best dome cinema in Europe, apparently. For our movie night, we'll be hosting film competitions, and we have a venue right in the middle of Reykjavik for our music night, where speakers at the conference will be performing live, and for our closing night party. It is going to be a spectacular experience. And if you decide you'd like to join us, we've got tickets on sale at a much reduced price up until the 22nd of August. So you have a couple of weeks till my birthday on the 22nd. So if anybody wants to send me coffee or chocolate, you're welcome to, but please think about joining us. Not everybody can afford to fly themselves out to Iceland, and so we will be hosting we'll be live streaming all the presentations, and remote access to the conference will be completely free. So we're still trying to make sure everyone can attend if they want to. So that's my big announcement about the conference next year in Iceland. Now, we're really, really fortunate today. We have an amazing person joining us for our keynote. And let me see if I can spotlight you here as well, Erin. Here we go. Hello. So welcome, please, everybody. Erin McPherson, who is Head of Consumer Content and Partnerships at Verizon. Welcome to the conference.
Thank you. Can you all hear me?
I think so. We got thumbs up from everybody. Okay.
I'm spotlit. All right. Well,
you are spotlit.
Thank you so much, Maxim. This is incredible. I'm inspired by the videos, and sign me up for Iceland.
It's gonna be
there.
Yeah, it's really, you know, we're actually, we can't confirm too many of the details for obvious reasons. We're still running the 2021 conference, but we're looking at, we're also talking to Positron, who make the Voyager VR chair. We're looking at having some VR chair experiences. We're looking at augmented reality experiences, decorated interior spaces. We have a Japanese designer working on an interior garden space.
I love it.
Meetings. Dance workshops, meditation, yoga, tai chi. It's going to be pretty spectacular. Yeah, and the warmest month of the year in Reykjavik. So, so we've got about 25 minutes to chat, so Erin and I were speaking before about what to talk about during the conference. And the thing about the Creativity Conference is that, and it's such a perfect fit. We don't really talk about technology, techniques, workflows, business skills, branding skills, legal issues. And I'll be speaking in a moment about our support for the charity Awareness Ties that we're big fans of. But in general, as a conference, we focus on celebrating cultural and creative diversity rather than dealing specifically with social issues. We just want it to be a big celebration where everyone's invited. And what does that leave? And what it leaves is this fragment of perfume in the air, this sense of intentional creativity that I think everyone who attends the conference is sort of obsessed with. And Erin and I were chatting about this challenge, and Erin's notes, and this is where I want to invite you to share your thoughts on this initially. Erin sent over an email, and the top levels, all these beautiful notes. You made me feel like I needed to be a better professional, Erin. You sent so many wonderful notes. I was thinking, I better step up my game for this keynote. And you said, this is Erin's take on staying creative in a corporate world. And I thought this is, because you and I have both bridged the two worlds of, you know, technology and creativity, and also corporate, you know, professionalism. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. But why do you feel that that's such an important topic? What is it? What is the magic that allows you to do that?
That is what I'd love to talk about, actually. Maybe what I'll do, and I want to make this interactive too. So I'd love to spend a few of the 25 minutes, you know, if you guys have questions or things you want to discuss, opening it up. But maybe I'll kick off with a little bit about me, 2 minutes about me, because I've personally straddled, this was not intentional, but maybe in the way that everything is intentional, it ended up being perfect. I've straddled corporate and creative my whole career, and actually my whole life. I like to sometimes say I'm an artist trapped in a lawyer's body, and that's true. And so I am obsessed with this topic because it's near and dear to my heart, and it's how I've navigated the world. So I'll give you the 2 minutes, and then we can dive right into, I think, techniques that have helped me at least, and then I'd love to just open it into a conversation.
I'm going to do the spotlight. I'm disappearing. Okay. Go.
So hi everybody. I'm Erin, and I am right now running content at Verizon. I'll just start here, which is really, you know, a 5-year-old little girl who loved to write plays, act, paint, draw. I was shied away from music by my parents, but pretty much you couldn't keep me away from creating. And, you know, Maxim and I, in our prep call, talked about the fact this is an inherent human need and desire and ability. We're all creators. And I believe that we're all creators. And I was definitely very artistic growing up. And in fact, at the age of, 21, after my parents had broken themselves to send me to a fancy liberal arts college in New England, and I said, I want to go to New York and be a writer. and an actor. And they said, over our dead body, are you going to do that? You are not going to take our hard-earned, everything. And they hadn't had those opportunities. So they said, you're going to go, get a profession. And so I did. I went to Harvard Law School. I was a good student, but I have to tell you guys, it felt that shifting right brain to left brain, it felt painful at the time. It felt like a part of me was being rewired. And indeed it was. I was literally having to wake up a side of my brain that had not really had to work that hard. And what's been beautiful since is a real marriage of creative and analytical skills. And that's really where my career has ended up. I practiced law for a long time, for 15 years, but I did so in LA, where of course I fell in love with the entertainment industry. And so worked for Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, worked as a talent lawyer representing actors, writers, and directors in film and TV. And then in the mid 2000s, I shifted to digital and I went to Yahoo. And that's really where I found a place in between being a lawyer and being a creative executive. And I ran their video business and loved it because, of course, it is show business. So I got to marry creative and business. And that's really where, where my passion is at the moment. How do I stay creative while still existing in environments that are very corporate and channeled? And after Yahoo, I went to a company called Maker Studios, which I loved. They were the biggest network on YouTube and kind of united artists of the internet. They were YouTube creators who came together, formed a company, and then I was a late addition. They started right around when YouTube started, 2007. I joined the company in 2013, and we sold the company for $1 billion to Disney in 2014, which was amazing. Amazing for those founders to go from YouTubers to, billionaires. But that landed me at Disney, which is, of course, a creative stronghold. I mean, one of the biggest and best creative companies on the planet, regardless of sometimes them being criticized around how they treat creators. They actually really value creation and creativity. And being inside of that company for a year and a half was an amazing experience, getting to work with Lucas and Pixar and seeing at the time Bob Iger in the lead, very much a creative in his heart, cares very much about creating and creativity. And I got to learn there how that company marries creative and business. And then after Disney, I came to Verizon. And I honestly didn't know what a telco is like. Verizon's the largest telecommunications company in the United States. And I don't think I previously appreciated how much of an operating company Verizon is, because of course we maintain a network, and that network has to stay up and has to stay running. It's essential. It's our core competency. So this company, not only is this company corporate, this company is like an operating company par excellence. What we do is operate, which means things are channeled, they are structured, they are about output, they're about result. And of course, in my experience, creativity is not always about result, right? It's about process. It's about gentleness. It's about flow, to quote the video, right? It's about it's sort of, to me, creativity manifests for me in the space between, when I do allow myself to be quiet and listen, right? Rather than pushing outward, it's pulling inward. And so these forces are very different. And, to be totally candid, which I usually am, my first year at Verizon felt like my first year at Harvard. Felt like, oh, this isn't natural for me. This isn't a place where I flourish. This isn't a place where I feel good. But, if I have another quality, it's determination. I do not give up. So I was bound and determined to find a place in that company where we could bring creativity and bring the company the value of content, the value of storytelling. And of course, now we offer Disney. We did a big partnership with Disney, which was my partnership I'm very proud of, where we offer our customers Disney Plus and the Disney bundle. We offer our customers content. And that, I think, is emotional, and that brings joy, and that brings everything that the company wants, which is a stronger brand affinity with our customers. Customers stay longer. That's what we want them to do. Be happier, spend more, stay longer. So that's where I can marry, bringing someone the joy of great storytelling and their connectivity. And I think so that's me in a nutshell. And I think when I was thinking about this talk, I did write some notes because I am so passionate, and I'm passionate with my team about how do we stay limber? How do we keep our creative muscles working inside of an environment that just wants to channel us, that just wants to, to have us be rather rigid and needs rigidity, because that's performance, certainly when you're operating a cellular network. And a few of the things that came to mind, because they're things I put in practice every day for myself, is well, I'll start with the quote that I think has been attributed to many different people. This is a quote I love, and it's, "How you do anything is how you do everything." And it's attributed sometimes to Martha Beck, who's a wonderful coach and author, who has also said, "The act of creating is de facto destruction of the status quo." And that's a really meaty one too. But how you do anything is how you do everything. I love that. And I say it to my team a lot, because for me, it's remembering that I can put creativity into my breakfast if I'm mindful. And that, of course, is a tea service. I mean, you mentioned the Japanese, I don't know what the foot thing is. I can't wait to find out. But the fact of a ritual, making a ritual beautiful and meaningful and adding mindfulness to it, I do that through my day. It keeps me connected in to my source. And it means I bring creativity even to an operating meeting at Verizon, where I can suggest, hey, did we ever think about doing things differently? Did we ever think about canceling this meeting? Do we need it? And I'm able to access that because maybe in the morning, I really sat for breakfast, really appreciated the amazing, delicious food that I was able to give myself. Or I took a mindful walk. I love mindful walks. In New York, and right now I'm living in LA, but I lived in New York the last 5 years. In New York, I always walked to get somewhere. I always walked, with a purpose. And then I started, and this is actually a trick that Julia Cameron, the Artist's Way author, which is a wonderful book, and I took her seminar and loved it. She does mindful walks, which are walks with no purpose whatsoever. You're not going to get to West 17th Street. You're actually just walking to notice, just notice. And I'll do that. I'll try to do that a couple of times a week, and it's wonderful. And I'm not walking to burn calories or to get skinnier or to get somewhere. I'm walking to notice. And it's amazing what I notice when I do that. Like, that practice just pulls me right back into present state. And so those things, if practiced regularly, enable me to keep that. And I'm not perfect at it. I have weeks where I go way down into the Verizon cultural rabbit hole, but those kinds of practices pull me back out. Another one that was on my notes that I have to push myself to do is try things that I'm not good at. Stay in learner's mind, stay in beginner's mind. I like to be really good at everything I do. It's the curse of type A perfectionism. So you know what? I got a musical instrument, which is something I've always wanted to do, but never learned. And I suck at it. I'm really not good at guitar, but I'm doing it, and doing it badly actually enables me to access the humility and the vulnerability. I'm not good at this. So I'm going to keep practicing it, because it also reminds me I'm just human. I'm a human being who's playing and learning, and I don't have to be good at everything to enjoy it. And as I said, that for me is a conscious contrary action when I do it. And so it's not as easy as the mindful walks or the mindfulness around making a beautiful meal or arranging a bouquet. Those things are relatively easy and pleasurable for me. But when I pick up the guitar or sing, I'm dreadfully afraid of singing. I think I have a bad voice. So doing karaoke or saying yes when a friend says, let's go to do karaoke, is pushing me a little bit, staying out of my comfort zone, something I'm not good at. Let me try this and just do it to learn and have fun at it, not do it to master it. I'm not out for mastery. I'm out to keep my brain flexible and fluid and nimble and let my synapses try different approaches. Thing that's pertinent to my life at Verizon. I view my role at Verizon actually as a translator. I feel like I take the content community and all of the media and entertainment companies, and they speak one language, and I'm translating into telco speak. And so I actually literally will say to my team, we are translators. We literally, if we were at the UN, we're translating languages. And what that means is we need to stay with a foot in both worlds. So I have assimilated enough to be successful in that Verizon environment, but I'm able to step back out and be an outsider. And I think it's important, you know, just as an artist and a creator, which we all are, to use techniques to keep that outsider's mind. And, you know, whether it's, you know, this is silly, but I'll say it. I sometimes look at websites or magazines that aren't built for me, right? They're not for my demographic. They skew much younger, or they're
Well, that's the definition of dramatic tension right there. we we lost you, Erin, for a second, just at this perfect still frame. Hopefully, Erin will be back with us momentarily, and can continue. What an amazing presentation, though. But that still frame is like the aliens have come, or
I think I'm back.
You're back.
I think I'm back.
We can hear you. We see you. Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. Don't lose your flow.
Bumblebee just came right in and probably ruined my signal. Okay, if I'm back, I think I was talking about this notion of staying an outsider. So maybe watching a film or television series or reading a YA book. Like, I think young adult books are amazing, right? Because they're aimed at that younger mind that can help me go back to that time when there was more possibility and more adventure and excitement. I wasn't sure what my life was going to be. So, you know, Harry Potter, I mean, how amazing that was. And reading a book that may not be my kind of book, but staying flexible and trying on different personas, I think helps. I will also often say to my team, not only are we translators, we're corporate bushwhackers. We're exploring. And what I mean by that is we're blazing new trails. And when we think of it that way, rather than we're fitting into the corporate matrix, we're actually creating new pathways in the matrix. And when one has that as their identity inside of a company, it's easier to take on disruptive conversations and take on disruptive roles when it's acknowledged that we are disruptors. So I'll almost finish here, which is the last point I think in my notes. And that was, I just mentioned, giving permission to the creative self. So I do it in my team at Verizon by, again, validating the disruptor role, validating the artist role, giving rewards when people are disruptive, and creating safe spaces at the company for people to be disruptive. So perfect example of this in a tech company is a hackathon. Of course, those are safe spaces to try and fail, and they're often kept very short and fast so that people don't overthink, right? You have 24 hours to come up with a new idea. Google famously does this with the moonshots. And I've been part of those exercises actually with Googlers, where we had 1 hour to come up with a world-changing idea. 1 hour. And then you present it to the group. And the 1 hour is intentional. It's because generally the essence of something, right, that spark happens in an hour, and it's not worrying about how perfect it is. And so if we apply that to the creative process itself, right, when I'm writing, and now I've tried to take up some creative writing, it's staying out of judgment mind and just in creation mind. So those kinds of hackathons or moonshot exercises are intentionally fast so that we don't get tripped up in the what ifs and the no's and the shoulds and in fact, I'll tell you the idea my team and I came up with in the 1 hour, I think somebody's getting at it, was using technology to ensure that there are no empty supply vessels. How crazy was this that we came up with this globally, that no ship went empty, no truck went empty, no train car went empty, that it was always carrying something using a global platform like an Uber. If you think about it, like, hey, there's an empty boat leaving Long Beach for China and finding a load for it. And that would cut down on, you know, environmental stressors, petrol, all of that. So that's what we came up with in 1 hour and we presented it. And, you know, I thought, how amazing when we give ourselves that kind of confine, but inside of that, we don't have to worry about the how. We're just thinking about the what. And so I do that with my team. I'll have designated brainstorms, designated pitch sessions. There are no stupid ideas because the rest of the company is very results driven, is very analytical, is very precise. Everything is data driven. So how do we create a container where we're mindfully saying, throw data out the window, throw being exact out the window. Let's actually play. And I think that's really important. And then rewarding that. So the craziest idea gets a prize. And you know, back in the day when we were all in the office, I would give the prize. If I knew the person liked to drink, here's a nice bottle of wine, you know, if not, here's some chocolate. But I would give the prize for the craziest idea so that suddenly the KPI was being more out there and wild, not less so. So I was driving the, you know, yes, let's go to space, you know, which we've seen happen recently. Let's go to space, you know. And so I think those are just some thoughts. I don't know how long it's been, but those were the thoughts kind of in the notes. I think I hit all of it a little bit. Yeah, I'd love to open it up if
Erin,
we have time. Yeah.
I've been biting my lip because there's just so much you've shared that I'm excited about. And what you're describing are these essential principles that people can try to hold on to live less regulated lives and to be more present in the moment. We've been holding these social meetups after the conference each day. And they're fantastic because everyone's allowed to turn their mic on, you know, everyone's there to sit around the campfire and share the ideas that have moved them. And there are some characteristics that seem to be consistent for the speakers and the attendees of this conference. And you just described a list of them, which is fantastic. And you mentioned Julia Cameron, and I think I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera, right? This famous book, which is phenomenal, by the way, anybody who's interested to expand their creativity. But you also mentioned something that I'm quite passionate about. I'd like to hear a bit more of your thoughts on this. It seems to me, you know, when I'm directing actors, for example, the number one thing that I need them to do is be here now. In fact, essentially all I need them to do is really listen when I give them direction and be present in the moment. And everything else is my responsibility. They don't need to take responsibility for whether they're feeling the right feeling. That's my job. And I need to give them those feelings. But this issue seems to be a consistent one, that it can be quite challenging today in particular. I think I now have at least 20 different ways that people communicate with me. And it can be challenging to just be present. You mentioned going for walks. There's a lot of mindfulness in what you described. But what would you say are great tips for people to become more present in the moment and less caught up in the past and less caught up in the future?
That is a great question that I certainly haven't mastered, but practice at. So number one, and I use this a lot, especially lately, I'm getting a huge initiative passed at Verizon right now. And so there's a lot of opportunity to lose myself. So this is so simple and it sounds so trite almost, but it's breath. It's breath. And, you know, my team and I at Verizon, we do all of the deals, all of the content deals across the company including the cable TV system that we operate on the East Coast. And the reason I raise that is just before coming on to this conference, we're in negotiations, and they're very, we're almost always in negotiations with programmers. And of course, as that industry is in massive disruption, as everything's moving direct to consumer, those negotiations become very tense, tension-filled, confrontational. And so I say this, Maxim, because I used breath this morning just to reground. And so it's just the most basic fundamental. But because it just reminds me, and the pause is, I'll do it right now even, because I can tend to go from 0 to 60, and I use that to my benefit, but it's also sometimes detrimental, so just remembering to take a beat. Usually there's something in the pause that's meaningful for me to know.
That's beautiful. It's and I suppose it's increasingly difficult, as particularly if your work is quite cerebral, to take care of the basics, like, have you eaten properly? Have you stretched? Have you got enough omega-3? Breathing is really important, and people do sometimes forget to do it properly. But I love that idea of the beat. I think I mentioned in one of the socials when I was taking my driving lessons years ago, there was a car close behind me, and I was trying to go faster to get out of their way. And the driving instructor said, why are you speeding up? There's no particular reason for you to do that. And I said, well, I don't want to hold up the car behind. And the driving instructor said, oh, okay, I get it. I'd like you to come to a halt right now in the middle of the road, please, and turn off the engine and put on your emergency lights, your flashers. And I was well, really? He said, yeah, just now, please, if you wouldn't mind. And of course, all the traffic behind me stopped, and the engine's off, and the instructor said, so how do you feel? And I said, well, actually, I feel pretty good. And he said, ultimately, your goal is not to hit someone else. If someone hits you, that's kind of their problem. So, okay, take a breath, start the engine. I'd like you to pull away in your own time. Don't forget to turn off the flashes. And it was, and that lesson is the same thing you just described. The rest of my life, when I feel that panic, that roar in the ears, that frenzy of stuff going on, being able to say, actually, I am in command of my focus, and I'm going to step outside and look at the moon, or do whatever I'm going to do. It's beautiful.
Yes.
So I
have one acronym based on HALT, right? It's hungry, angry, lonely, tired. If I'm any of those four,
that's great.
HALT.
I usually say I don't get hangry, I get hungrumpy. And so I have one. I think I have time just about for one quick further question for you. And I think I'd like to focus on, it's just so much, we could speak for hours on this, but you spoke about intentionally doing the craziest thing. You spoke about making yourself vulnerable. And I think that we live in a culture, both in the US and in the UK and around the world, really, that is punishment and reward based. But it seems to me that creativity is an iterative process. And I wonder if you would like to say a little bit more about that. How do you get around the fear of failure or the fear of success?
This is a great question, and meant to be asked of me, because I'm currently writing a one-woman show, and every time I get close, a producer says, send me the stories, or I get a lead on an artist's retreat to work on them. I find myself getting busy and stopping it. And it's that fear, especially because these stories I'm currently writing are about me. So they're very vulnerable. The only thing I can say that's helped me a bit is I have a very good friend who calls it lily padding. I don't have to mount the one-woman show and have it be off Broadway to today. I just have to write one more page of the story. I just have to go jump on one more lily pad. I don't have to look at the other lily pads that will ultimately get me across the whole pond. I just go to the next lily pad. So that's helped me a lot, because I will tend, and I think you've just said it beautifully, our whole society is reward and punishment driven and goal driven. And I spend 90 or 80, I hope, percent of my life inside of a very results-driven culture professionally. How do I get out of that mindset and just do the next indicated action on it? I don't have to go, solve the world or be success oriented around it. I just have to do the next thing. So keeping it that simple, like the next lily pad, what's the next lily pad? It's where I got as far as I got, which I wrote about 20 short stories. And I did it by waking up every morning and just being out of judgment. It was very artist way, which I took her seminar with her, and it was life-changing, but it was very artist way. It was, I'm just going to write whatever comes to me. And in the morning was easier because I did feel closer to that subconscious mind, creative mind. I was less frequent to jump to judgment. I hadn't had coffee. I know Julia drinks coffee. I love coffee, but coffee will bring up that voice. What are you doing? This is stupid. This is about your high school typing class. Why are you writing this story? That's idiotic. In fact, you should be working out because you need to lose 5 pounds. I mean, that'll start to happen. So I was doing it in the morning and I was just lily padding. I was like, I'm just going to write whatever comes to mind right now. And that's how I got 25 of them done. Now, of course, is where, okay, now I've shared them with a few people and I've got a few other leads. Now as a creator, not as the Verizon exec, but as Erin, the creator, I also don't do it alone. So if I get a lead and someone says, hey, here's a director I'd like you to send the stories, I don't have to do that alone because I will stop myself. So having a support structure is essential. And I think that this conference is wonderful because it becomes a community and a support structure in that while we're all meant to create, it's also not easy, right? The bee is back.
He loves you.
He does love me and I'm allergic. Go away, go away, go. I'm slightly allergic to bees. Not
okay, be careful.
Horribly, but not horribly. But having that community is essential in being successful creatively, because let's face it, this isn't easy. I think it's the truest path of being a human and the most rewarding, but it is not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a ton of courage. So not doing it alone also helps.
This is we had a lot of feedback from the conference in January that people felt that they'd in some sense they'd found their people, they'd found their family. And so this is why I put together the creative community, which is a completely free platform. There's no creepy tracking, there's no ads at all, no IP stealing, and it's just a place where people can do exactly what you're describing. Like I said, I think this plus wine, we could go all day with this, but I ought to move on so we can. I have a couple of announcements and then we can do our afternoon sessions. But before I do, Erin, thank you so much. Applause for me and I can see everyone else as well. It's been so wonderful, and I really appreciate you sharing your insights. It's rare to have the opportunity to hear from someone with your breadth of experience how you've managed to stay mostly sane, like mostly.
Mostly. I love that it's recorded for posterity that I'm waving my notebook at a bee, but
yes.
This is a topic I'm so passionate about. I really appreciate getting the opportunity to share with you guys, and I wish we did have more time to have a conversation, but okay.
We will, in Iceland.
In Iceland.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Have a great rest of the afternoon.
Fantastic. Thank you. So actually, this is almost like we planned it, which we did not. There's a beautiful segue here because my friend Jeff Greenberg, who is amazing and a genius, is running a 15-second film competition, which is all about failing. And I'm just going to play his intro video for you now that explores exactly what this project is. It's such a beautiful fit for what Erin and I were speaking about. And again, Erin, that was just fantastic. Thank you. Okay, let me show you this video.
Hi, I'm Jeff Greenberg, And I want you to know we're running a short film workshop during the Creativity Conference. The big idea here is the camera in your pocket is better than what I used in film school, and it's giving us great freedom in storytelling. A story is merely about 5 to 7 shots, more or less, a beginning, a middle, an end. And if you're going to create something, just follow your instincts and worry about the length later. This is about creativity, not about getting it perfect. You see, you're working with a net. Failure is okay. If you don't like it, just don't show it. It's meant to be like a writer's prompt. Don't censor yourself. It's about iteration, and you learn from failure. Common questions you might have? Well, how long should it be? Should be about 15 to 45 seconds, 30 or so is average. What tools should you use? Use any tools you have access to. If you're not a filmmaker, I highly recommend either Adobe Rush or iMovie, mostly because they've got automatic tools to fix audio. Be aware that using commercial music will get you flagged if you choose to post this on social media. And here's a quick recap for you. It's due Monday, August 8th. That gives you the weekend. It's 15 to 45 seconds, max 1 minute. You use the YouTube format for export or iPhone or iPad. If you look at this resources page, it'll give you some free music, links to some tutorials. The submission link is right there, bit.ly/15sec cc info. If you have any questions, you can reach me at 15seconds at J Greenberg Consulting. A free screening workshop will be announced for next week for people who choose to participate. And as a final thought, I'll tell you the same thing I tell filmmakers. The act of trying is more important than success. Thanks and good luck.
Come to that other video in a moment, which is amazing. Isn't that fantastic? And Jeff's really generous with his time and a great person to connect with if you want to learn about creative processes. Right, so there's just one more thing for me to share with you before we move on to our afternoon presentations. And we've got some just fantastic speakers coming up for the last the last afternoon of the conference this year. As a conference, the conference is totally free to attend, and we're supporting 2 charities that we're big fans of. One is Artists United. I think Erin mentioned United Artists. This is Artists United. They're a collective, if you like, that provides for networking and mutual support from artists in multiple different fields. They're really fantastic. The link is on the homepage. Another charity that we're supporting is called Awareness Ties, and we're huge fans because they support a number of different causes internationally and really work hard to raise awareness. In fact, they have a monthly magazine called Aware Now, which is something like 16 million monthly readers. Again, a completely free magazine that you can get online. Now, right now, Awareness Ties are running a campaign called Selfie to Support. It's a social impact campaign to raise awareness for causes by uploading selfies and stories that go with them. So each selfie and story that you upload helps to support the causes that, as Awareness Ties puts it, tie us all together. Every month, a selection of selfies and stories are published in the Aware Now magazine. And if you share your selfie and story, you get a chance to win an Awareness Ties cause symbol t-shirt. That'll make a lot of sense if you click the link and check it out. And you can learn more about what they call the table of causes. It's a bit like the table of elements, but for causes around the world. Rather than attempt to explain this whole campaign myself right now, I'll play a little intro video. I'm going to post in our chat here for our keynote the link to the Selfie to Support campaign. And if you look on our homepage, right in the middle of the page, you'll find a link to it as well. So again, I'll just share my screen and play this beautiful video that they have introducing the campaign.
We are aware. Now is the time to come together. Each of us has a cause we're tied to, and each of our causes are tied together by one cause that unites us all, the human cause. Awareness Ties is proud to present the Table of Causes. building blocks for raising awareness and support for the causes that tie us together. As we explore the science of our humanity, one cause and one story at a time, we share what makes us human. You are invited to share your selfie and your story to show support for your cause. Together, we are aware now.
Oh, and there it is. Absolutely fantastic campaign. So again, the link's on our homepage, and I encourage you to please check it out, upload. There's an option to make a donation as well if you want to. Right, that's our keynote, our last keynote for the August 2021 conference. We have some phenomenal sessions coming up this afternoon. Please stick around. We have 4 concurrent rooms running. We actually have an additional last-minute speaker. Arist Williams is going to be talking about her experiences learning about and developing her photographic skills. Next up, we've got Gordon Scott speaking about the creative legends reinvented. As an artist, he's been exploring some legendary figures and how you bring them to life in the modern age. We have a wonderful panel on film, TV, and games. That's with Elizabeth Blake Thomas. We've got Elliot Grove, founder of Rain Dance, who was our keynote yesterday. He's speaking. Justin Molman, CJ Julianus, and Mark Simon. It's going to be a great panel. We also have a panel on inspiration. Jeff Charno, Christine Ahunoto, Jay Latta, Nando Reynards, Will Tams, and Lunakai. I don't know which of these panels I would want to see most. And Arist is speaking about the journey into family photography. Check out our schedule. There's many sessions this afternoon, and I hope to see some or maybe all of you at our social event, which begins at 5:30 p.m. New York time today. And that's all from me. Thank you so much for coming. Keep in touch. Any feedback on ways we can improve the conference, I'd love to hear. I also definitely need some new jokes, so be sure to reach out to me with those. And thank you so much for coming along to our keynote today. Have a lovely afternoon.